And welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and we're going to be discussing American Horror Story, Season 10, Episode number 9, Blue Moon. If you've not hit the sub button, please do so. We got one more episode this season, which we will be covering. And this episode was very much, if you heard our review from last week, it's for me personally, it's about the same. I'm glad that they spent the bulk of the episode in the 50s. They spent 24 minutes this week and then 17 minutes in the present. Although arguably that 17 minutes, it was less than 17 because they actually did some flashbacks of the moon landing, fake moon landing stuff. So, but yeah, all the Eisenhower stuff. Yet again, I'm loving that. I hope somebody does a super cut. But we are introduced to a few new things, specifically Valiant Thor, the liaison, I guess the robot from the aliens. All his stuff was great. I love the stuff with him and Eisenhower's wife. The smartphone, that's where we get the smartphone from. They introduced that tech. Area 51, how it was established, Marilyn Monroe's assassination, and then, which was horrifying. That was true nightmare fuel stuff. And then, yeah, what'd y'all think?
I loved the 50s portion because they're taking aspects of things that happened and relating it to the story. So JFK's assassination, the founding of Area 51, the Marilyn Monroe ODing, saying it wasn't an accident. We talked about it too, Brian, when we were talking about one of our other shows, the whole Stanley Kubrick thing, him filming the moon landing, like all these things that...
Yeah, because that's a real conspiracy theory. Like actual
conspiracy theories, yeah, they're like tying them in. So I don't know how it's going to tie into what's currently going on in the show, but it's one of those things where it made, to me, the 50s portion of the show even more interesting. And we've talked about it before. The acting chops on the folks in the 50s section is far superior. So it's, even though to me it's just as outlandish as the current day stuff that's happening in the show, it's just more believable. It's, when you get a sci-fi or a horror type show, it's, you have to be able to suspend disbelief, and you can't do that as much with the younger cast. And that's how I feel anyway.
Yeah, I agree. The immersion is definitely better with the 50s stuff. You really get into it. But, like you said, their acting and some things are so stunted that it kind of takes you out of the moment in the modern day stuff. Even though I'll give them this week, it was, I feel this week it was a little better. I'd still care way more about the stuff in the 50s. It's cooler, it's more interesting. We're getting to see more interesting aspects of even the aliens in the 50s than we are in the modern day stuff. But, hopefully, what do we have? 2 more episodes?
One
more episode?
One. Yeah.
Which,
okay.
All that bothers me even more because I have zero, and it's not, and we've talked about this in Big Sky. Part of the draw to that show to me is how ridiculous it is. You never know what's going to happen. But to me, I feel like in this show, me not knowing what's going to happen is an issue only because I don't know how they're going to close up all the loose ends of the story. And there's so many things right now with one episode left. And the final episode of the first 6 episodes was 37 minutes. So if they give us 30 minutes coming into this finale, I have no idea how they're going to wrap it up and make me care.
I have some thoughts on that. We'll jump to the cell phone. So, they made a big deal in the beginning of this about not bringing their phones when they went out to the desert, the group of friends, and this sort of anti-technology speech. And, that was a good chunk of that episode. And then we jump ahead, well, not ahead, technically back to the 1950s. And one of the first big pieces of technology that the aliens give humanity, it looked basically like a smartphone. So
I thought it looked like a Zune.
It did. It absolutely did. But I was like, okay, they're talking about how much, advanced it was and, computer and all that. And I'm like, are cell phones going to play a role in the, because I'm like, okay, are the younger cast, are they going to somehow defeat the aliens and it's going to somehow connect with technology and phones? That's the thing they've been setting up. How they do that, I have no idea. But I think that's where they're going with this.
they're gonna they're gonna turret some porn onto their phone, and it's gonna download a virus that's going to infect all the other alien technology, and then all the doors are going to be able to open. They'll be able to get out.
Like, yeah, I thought that was my first thought too when you said Zune, is that it looked like a Zune. I thought there were going to be some jokes about that or something. Like,
Dude,
Nixon would have been like, "This is cool, but the interface is kind of shit. Can you make it a little better?"
The yeah, that would be funny. Jumping ahead, and we'll probably go back to the 50s in a moment. But Larry, you were saying that this episode was a little better, you thought, with the modern day. I agree that because for the first time you sort of cared because you had the whole birthing scene, which was a well done scene, really cool effects. But we see what they do with these children because they're trying to get the best possible hybrid, and so these are all basically tests, and they're essentially killing the babies. And we have I wrote his name because he's the only one I remembered. Troy, I think it was Troy.
They're not memorable.
No, Troy. It was Troy. So Troy, has the baby. They kill it. He's upset about it. But his boyfriend's going to have a baby. And of course, the ending is him like, look, they sneak off. Talk about shit security for aliens, but okay, whatever. He cuts the baby out. And then you have the moment where you're like, oh, okay, this is sweet. And then the baby, it gets goofy again because it attacks him. But one episode to resolve that. Does the baby kill him? What happened? I don't know. We'll find out. But I will agree, going back to my original point, yes, that first 5 minutes between the giving birth and him going back to his friends, to me, that was probably the strongest sequence that they've had in the modern period as far as acting and actually making you care a little bit about the characters.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I thought it was the end was the best part, but it was just because the alien baby attacking its dad and trying to like destroy its face with its octopus legs, I thought was more in line with what American Horror Story is.
Yeah.
I loved that sequence better than the Troy feeling sad about a baby who was in his stomach for 3 days.
Well, they sort of comment on that, when what's her name comes in, she's like, get over it. She's like, nobody cares that your alien baby is dead.
Yeah. And to me, although I think it would have made more sense had he just been traumatized. Like if he was like, holy shit, they cut my stomach open, killed this baby in front of me. It would make sense for him to be traumatized by the situation, but for him to be like, I lost my baby, that's the part that, to me, it felt, it cheapened the scene to me. It is one of those things where I think what they were trying to establish is that regardless, male or female, a baby has a large effect on a female, whether it's, the hormones going out of control, they're what the toll that having a baby has on a woman's body is tremendous. It's a hard thing. So for them to have the males get pregnant, I think maybe that's what they were trying to do, is establish that it was also driving their hormones crazy. It was having a similar effect. And that's the only tie-in I could make. But even that, I was like, Jesus.
Well, and there was a like instant psychic connection with the baby as soon as it was born and everything, and and he felt the baby die, and I have a feeling that's a little closer to what humanity would want in a perfect hybrid. But I have a feeling what the aliens want is the squid baby. They're gonna see that and they're gonna be like, that's our perfect hybrid. That's what we've been trying to make.
Half human, half squid.
Should be crab baby. That's the perfect.
Well, according to evolution on our
that's why I said that. So yeah, we had all that. Like I said, where we're going as far as the next episode, there's one left. Going back to the moon landing stuff, it was fun. And like I said, that's a legitimate conspiracy theory, is that Kubrick shot the moon landing. So putting that in there, I was like, all right, that was fun. The
They just showed real footage. They found that footage.
Yeah.
That's legit 100% found footage of Kubrick directing the moon landing. Don't be trying to
My
off of conspiracy
my
theory.
my biggest hope for the final episode is that Eisenhower, the Nixon stuff, is that somehow, however things resolve in the present day, was something that they put in motion. You know what I mean? I hope that it does, in fact, connect in some way. Otherwise, it might feel pointless. I don't know.
Yeah, because you have Dwight was president for 2 terms, and then I know there was I don't remember if it was 1 term or 2 terms between him and Nixon taking back over. I think it was 2, because I think it was Kennedy and then Johnson. I think was between uh, Dwight and Nixon going back into office. So I am curious as to how that's going to unfold.
I'm still rooting for that ending where Eisenhower and Nixon storm into the facility, guns ablazing.
In the present day.
Yeah.
I would be for it, to be honest. I'd be completely okay with that.
Maybe they were given babies too. Like, you see them because you see all these, people who are giving birth, and Steve Jobs is supposed to be dead, but he's not any older. He's basically stayed the same age. You have this lady who was found I think she was found in the 60s?
Yeah.
Or late 60s, and she looks the exact same. So you could basically have it to where it's Dwight and Nixon giving birth to babies too.
Yeah. Dwight and Nixon storm in there, guns ablazing. Nixon throws a shotgun to Steve Jobs. He joins in.
That would be
It's funny because so the first half, everyone hated, or not everyone, but a large amount of people disliked the finale. We all liked it. I thought it was solid. I thought it made sense for the story. I'm going to be very curious because this second half of the double feature I thought was way weaker in terms of storytelling than the first. And so I'm curious about the ending of this one. Am I going to love it, hate it, and what the audience is, their opinion is going to be?
Well, I thought the end of the first one, it would have been better had it tied into this episode somehow. Or, excuse me, the second part of this season. But if it doesn't, I still think that it wrapped up the story. I don't think that it was as good, mind you, but I still think that it wrapped up the story. This, I don't know how they're going to do it. Like you said, Larry, unless they come in and Tarantino it out, which it would be a very ridiculous way to end it, but I would be like, okay. I would be entertained, and I would think it was great.
My biggest fear is that, I'm just going to say it, that this group of friends outsmart the aliens. That'll annoy the shit out of me. It just will. There's been nothing they've done that would make me say, you know what, in 50, 60, 70 years of alien dominance and control, but they figure it out. But it's
Right.
American. Yeah, they figure out how to take them down. I'd be like, oh, that's so stupid.
If they established anything about them being like these giant engineers, or like one is made the doctoral program for psychiatry, or anything, there's nothing been established that these 4 are above and beyond intelligent people. They're just 4 random regular college students that can outsmart, like you said, a race that's been subjugating the humans for the last 70 years.
Right. Yeah. And it's it wouldn't make any sense for them. Like, now, if they're a part of a bigger plan that someone else has been coming up with, if they find like a brain trust or something, like if Steve Jobs and Calico are like, hey, this is what's going on. We've been planning this for a while, and they bring one of the kids in on that would make sense. But, like you said, there's nothing about these kids that say you're unique and special enough to figure out this thing that's been going on since Eisenhower's administration.
Yeah, because you mentioned it, Brian, like maybe it's them figuring out the technology. You got fucking Steve Jobs there. You're going to tell me that technology?
Yeah, exactly. my last major thought, and then if there's anything else you guys want to say, the biggest praise I have for the modern setting is the Men in Black are way more badass in this show than they are in the movies. Like these guys just bust in, beat your ass, kill. Like they don't give a shit. There's no neuralizing. They get shit done. Like you see that van pull up, you better fucking run because these Men in Black they don't screw around.
This is the most badass version of the Men in Black I think I've seen in any media, honestly.
Yes.
Well, they're just carrying out hits, man. The whole Marilyn Monroe overdosing on drugs and the fact that they supposedly are the driving force behind that. It's like you said, they're the most ruthless, heartless, cold fucking killers. It's crazy.
I just love they dress in the exact outfits too.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm like that's on intent.
Even
Intentional.
they have those little green things that are supposed to be like neuralizers, but they're killing people with them. They're not wiping their memories. They're like stabbing people and drugging them. And
now, are we supposed to believe, or is it just established that they are the exact same thing that Valiant Thor is?
I don't know because and that's a good. Let's talk about that real quick because Valiant Thor, great character, comes in is this sort of robot guy. At least that's the way it's portrayed. I don't know, man. He's sent in to be sort of the communication between the White House and the aliens. He's pretty honest whenever asked certain questions. He's like, yeah, this is why, or this is what we're doing. I like that the under the White House was the initial experiments were being done, and then they moved it to Area 51. Like I said earlier, the relationship between Eisenhower's wife and Valiant Thor was funny. A little comedy in there. Like I said, I sound like a broken record every week, but the 1950s stuff, I'm all in.
100%.
It's when they jump ahead that I'm just like, what are we doing?
Well, I forget which one of you said it last week, but the whole Evil Dead analogy that you made,
Yeah,
seems very apt, especially, even with Eisenhower's wife still, because it's hard to tell whether that's her or whether that's the aliens controlling her. You never know. So it's a very weird possession, and then we get this sort of surreal scene with her with Thor, and it's you kind of understand Eisenhower's horror at the whole scene because it's like we don't even know what these things are, and and he's reeling from it because it's like, is this his wife, or is this the alien making his wife do this? Or?
We know Thor liked her fudge.
Dude,
that line, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that whole line, I was dying because it to me made it all that much more. And we talked. It wasn't. I don't think it was supposed to be comedic relief. I think it was supposed to show how much of an effect it was having on Eisenhower. And like you said, the whole, is it the alien driving it? Is it his wife? Is it so that whole question mark is driving him crazy. But I love the fact that they added that one little line to it because it did make it like I legit was laughing out loud. I was chuckling at it, and I don't remember exactly what happened behind it because I was laughing so damn hard.
But yeah, that's about all I have as far as what I think about this episode. Because outside of the 50s stuff, the modern day stuff, there was only really two things: the childbirthing stuff, and then the moon stuff. So that was it. So yeah, anything else?
No.
So yeah, if you disagree with us and think this was a masterpiece, let us know in the comments.
Well, let us know why.
That's why, yeah, let us know.
Because I have zero issue with someone having a different opinion, but I am just curious as to why people are enjoying the opposite of what I am. Because
if you hated the finale of the last half, but you're liking this more, I am curious if that's a thing. If somebody disliked the ending of the first half.
But
double feature, but they're like this more. I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm curious because I haven't read any sort of responses on or reviews, other reviews of the show. So I'm not sure what everybody else is liking. Like you said, I just know what I like, and what I like is the 50s. If it's the other way around, may have been out of touch, or it's just generational taste in media or what have you. But
the ratings are pretty much roughly the same throughout the whole season. I mean, they were a little higher at the beginning of double feature. I think Macaulay Culkin probably, helped boost the rating a little bit, but it started to go down and then it sort of settled. And so it really, in other words, the ratings haven't like bottomed out or anything. They're pretty much holding to what they typically hold for a season. So those who committed to the early part, they're still watching.
good to know. I mean, hopefully they can experiment like this more in the future. I'd hate to see them stifled a little bit just because, someone didn't take a liking to the second half of this season because, modern portion be damned. I'm enjoying this part of the series.
But all right, we will be back next week for the finale and let you know if we liked or hated it. We will see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye.